the CIA is giving a little lesson on why it's hated so much. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Now you may be wondering, how does Chris find the energy to investigate things like you're about to see and not go crazy? Well, the answer is coffee. Lots of coffee. Specifically Days Coffee, the sponsor of today's episode. It's not just any coffee. It has something no other coffee in America has, which I'll explain in a little bit. But remember when former US President Donald Trump was accused of colluding with the Russians to win the 2016 election? Oh yeah, and remember when British intelligence supposedly spotted Trump's links with Russia? Now all that is still almost 7-year-old news, and yet here we are still talking about it. Why are we bringing all that up? Well, there seems to be even more proof that not only undermines the Trump-Russia collusion narrative, but trust in our very institutions. I know, it's shocking. If the people responsible for the DMV can't inspire faith in us, who can? We've uncovered over the years how the Trump-Russia collusion story just hasn't added up. But according to Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, the guys who brought us the Twitter files, along with journalist Alex Gutentag, there's a much more sinister plot at play. Citing sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, the three journalists claim that the U.S. intelligence community, including the CIA, illegally mobilized foreign allies to spy on Trump's campaign team, triggering the Russia collusion story. The irony here, of course, is that using your intelligence agency against a political opponent is something Russia would do. If espionage doesn't work out for them, they could all get jobs at movie theaters since they're experts on projection. Not only that, but they claim that the CIA cooked the intelligence to hide that Russia actually favored presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, not Trump in 2016. Which makes sense. With all the conspiracy theories floating around about Hillary murdering people, Putin was like, finally, a candidate I can relate to. Now, all this completely flies in the face of the mainstream media's narratives.
Is that the Trump campaign didn't just benefit from Russia interfering in our presidential campaign. The point of this is they colluded.
They spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
Well, there's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is.
No.
It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify that.
It's been totally verified.
No.
Man, Trump's claims aged like a fine wine, while Biden aged like a raisin. These new reports change everything from the way we understand how the Trump-Russia collusion story even came about in the first place. I'll tell you more after the quick break. Welcome back. So to jog your memory, here's a brief summary of the Trump-Russia collusion story. Officially, it all started after the FBI received unsolicited information from foreign allies who discovered that Trump's advisors were working with Russians. Australian intelligence notified the FBI about George Papadopoulos, an advisor in the Trump campaign, after Papadopoulos told Australia's diplomat in Britain that Russia had political dirt on Clinton. Maybe Putin was snooping around, trying to find some sweet new murder tips from old Hillary. British intelligence also reported Trump's team's links with Russia. British and European intelligence agencies, including GCHQ, the British intelligence agency responsible for communications surveillance, were not proactively targeting members of the Trump team, but rather picked up these communications during what's known as incidental collection. Incidental collection. It's just me, or does that sound like a euphemism for it fell off the back of a truck? For a long time, the narrative was that foreign intelligence spurred U.S. intelligence agencies to investigate the Trump-Russia collusion. But it might have been the exact opposite. It seems the good old CIA was the one that triggered the Trump-Russia collusion story. The U.S. intelligence community reportedly asked the Five Eyes, an alliance of intelligence agencies from the U.S., Canada, UK, Australia, and New Zealand, to surveil Trump's associates and share intelligence they acquired with U.S. agencies. And it seems like the Five Eyes did just that. Britain's GCHQ allegedly went ahead with contacting Trump's associates to spy on them as early as March 2016, which just so happened to be the same month that Papadopoulos joined the Trump campaign as an advisor. This is also when Papadopoulos met a professor based in London who Papadopoulos was led to believe had significant ties to Russian government officials. If true, this would completely validate Trump's concerns of British spying. Mainstream media claimed these concerns were unproven and utterly ridiculous. I wonder what other conspiracy theories mainstream media outlets called utterly ridiculous turned out to be true. I'm sure whatever they were, they aren't a big deal or had any global repercussions or anything, because boy, wouldn't that be a bummer. Well, this conspiracy manages to get even worse. I'll tell you how in a moment, but first let's take a quick coffee break. What kind of coffee am I drinking? Why, Dave's coffee, of course. And I want to tell you why I love this particular coffee so much. For one, it has very low acidity compared to most coffees. That makes it taste a lot better. It's not bitter like most coffees, and it's gentle on my tummy. It has only 15% of the caffeine of a regular coffee, which is good for reducing caffeine dependency, and I can also enjoy multiple cups of coffee a day. Just the right amount of kick I need without jitters or a caffeine crash. So how does Dave's make this special coffee? First, they collect only premium grade coffee beans from Colombia, Guatemala, Brazil, and Ethiopia. Then they treat the beans with 50 enzymes and ferment them. It's a patented process developed by a former cancer researcher at Yale Medical School, along with a team of South Korean scientists. Another great thing about their fermentation process is that it completely gets rid of mycotoxins. Those are toxins produced by mold and fungi you might find in some cheaper brands of coffee. But you won't find them in Dave's, so believe me, Dave's coffee is very, very good. It's got notes of dark chocolate, butterscotch, brown sugar, and nuttiness. The beans are roasted in New York's Hudson Valley. So when you order Dave's coffee, using my link below, you'll get a special discount, and once you order, they'll roast it right before they ship it to you. So it's just about as fresh as you can get by mail. So click below to try it out. Ah, yeah. Now, it seems that the CIA helped trigger the Trump-Russia collusion story. At the center of all of it is President Barack Obama's CIA director, John Brennan. For those of you who may not be familiar, Brennan is the same guy who briefed Obama on Clinton's plan to tie Trump to Russia and claimed that Trump was wholly in the pocket of Putin, which is ridiculous because there's not room for anything in Putin's pockets besides all the vials of poison. Brennan was also one of the signatories to the infamous letter which claimed that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation, even though that wasn't the case. It seems like he was hell-bent on dragging Trump down. According to recent reporting, Brennan was the one who allegedly identified 26 Trump associates for the Five Eyes to bump, or make contact with, or manipulate. But he did more than just that. He formed a group of hand-picked analysts in the spring of 2016 to investigate possible collusion between Trump and Russia, which shaped the intelligence community assessment on Russian activities and intentions in recent U.S. elections. This report had helped fuel the Trump-Russia collusion narrative, and its origins are extremely shady at best. We already know, thanks to real, clear investigations, that Brennan overruled dissenting analysts who concluded that Russia favored Hillary as U.S. president. Overruling evidence that's contrary to the narrative you're painting? Well, I'm glad this is the only time that's ever happened, because boy, wouldn't that be a bummer if it weren't. We also know, thanks to Jack Matlock, a former U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union, how the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Intelligence Research was not allowed to express dissent about Russian interference. But what we didn't know was how Brennan excluded both the State Department's Bureau of Intelligence Research and the Defense Intelligence Agency. Wait, so he used barely any intelligence while doing this? That actually makes a lot of sense when you say it out loud. Schellenberger and others also have a lot to say about an unredacted binder with raw Russian intelligence that went missing under Trump. It was last seen at the White House after being moved from Langley, Virginia, under Trump's orders so he could declassify documents related to the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane, the investigation into Trump's campaign in Russia. Crossfire Hurricane? Were they investigating a possible Manchurian candidate or pitching names for extreme 90s toys? Beyblade, Crossfire Hurricane, totally radical! The binder's contents included the FBI's problematic foreign intelligence surveillance warrants on a Trump campaign advisor from 2017, interview notes with Christopher Steele, author of the infamous dossier on Trump and Russia, FBI reports from a confidential human source related to the Russia investigation, and internal FBI and DOJ text messages and emails, among other documents. Mainstream media outlets like CNN claim that intelligence officials were mainly concerned about someone getting their hands on sources and methods for Russia intelligence gathering found in the binder. However, some believe that the US government actually wants to hide documents in the binder that incriminate the intelligence community for illegal spying and election interference. What? I can't believe the CIA would use underhanded tactics to try and instill a government of their choosing domestically. Don't take your work home with you guys. Recent reports indicate that another former CIA director, Gina Haspel, who has repeatedly blocked attempts to declassify information about the Trump-Russia investigation, may have had a role in the Trump-Russia collusion story that she doesn't want getting out. Transgressions range from Justice Department surveillance of domestic political targets without probable cause to the improper unmasking of a pre-election conversation between a Trump official and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to WMD-style manipulation of intelligence for public reports on alleged Russian influence activities. Now, it's not clear where the binder is. Some suggest that the FBI raid at Trump's Mar-a-Lago could have been meant to recover the binder. After all, according to Real Clear Investigations, the FBI unit leading the Mar-a-Lago probe led the Trump-Russia investigation. Now, this is just speculation. There's no confirmation that the details in the binder would incriminate U.S. intelligence agencies of illegal spying and election interference. But you gotta admit, it smells fishier than the break room after Kathy microwaves salmon. Again, Kathy. But there's another document that could spill the beans.
I can also assure you that there are current members of the House Intelligence Committee that are unaware of a 50-page report that the CIA is currently hiding at its headquarters.
Schellenberger claims that this 50-page report includes information about Russians favoring Hillary Clinton and how analysts manipulated information to come up with the desired conclusions. If everything mentioned in this episode is true, this would show that the U.S. intelligence community was more than willing to wage what many would see as deep state political espionage. What's especially scary is the idea that the CIA would get around the rules by relying on quote-unquote intelligence sharing, which is really just another way of saying, hey, let's use foreign intelligence agencies to spy on American citizens for us. That way, we're not committing an illegal activity and our hands are clean. Win-win. This totally wouldn't be exploited for political purposes with no accountability, right? I'm sure I'm just being paranoid. I mean, it's not like there's documented proof of government agencies illegally spying on citizens, right? Because boy, wouldn't that be a bummer. It's no wonder why people have even less trust in their own government. Hopefully they can win it back by showing how efficient and kind they are, like at the DMV. It seems like the CIA, which should be acting as America's hero, is acting more like a villain. And there's a video I want to show you about these heroes becoming villains. It's called Killing Heroes: How Communism Destroys Society. It's on my new show, Deep Thoughts While Gaming. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And America Uncovered couldn't continue without your support. Hit that orange button to support the show on Patreon for as little as $1 an episode. You can also set a monthly limit. And remember, click the link below to get some of that delicious Days coffee. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.